Virtual reality is the future. It's not just some gimmick like 3D television or 3D monitors used to be or are. It's something that could truly add a little bit of value, a little bit more immersion than just like little, strange optical illusions in front of you. It's something that can be appreciated and probably very useful, and so it's here to stay. And while most of these systems are still under development and aren't quite released yet, there are still a lot of great experiences you can have, even with a developer kit. So because VR is the wave of the future, let's go ahead and delve into some of the best experiences that you can have right this very moment in virtual reality, with either a few modifications or changes or configurations that you need to make, or with out-of-the-box compatibility with the Oculus Rift DK2, DK1, or Crescent Bay. Perhaps it's obvious, but virtual reality is very well suited to the simulation type of game, obviously, with racing simulations. Assetto Corsa is a great example of native compatibility with the Oculus Rift because it works out of the box. And look at this. It's a great experience. Look at how you can look around, the head tracking, everything, and it puts you in the car. And if you have the proper setup, it'll almost be like you're driving, aside from feeling, the car moving around. But that is for 4D later. Perhaps an even better example of how amazing virtual reality can be is in that of a flight simulator. Here in War Thunder, you can see with native Oculus Rift support, you can fly around, look around with head tracking, and literally, almost literally, especially if you have a good headset and good audio, it'll be as if you're flying. You can feel it. Aside from the wind being in your face, and feeling the vibration of the engines, the experience is there. And look how dizzying this can be. Just imagine having the Oculus Rift or some sort of VR solution on your head right now and looking around, looking for the enemy while they're shooting at you and seeing those things in your face without any other distractions around you. It could be very immersive. Quite nice. Another arcade simulator example that you can play right now using the VorpX third-party driver is that of World of Tanks. Not exactly the best example of it, but you can see here that you can really get in on the action, and it's fun. I mean, look at this. You can zoom around, aim as if you're actually looking down the scope of this weapon here, and you can just blow the heck out of anything right in front of your face. And of course, it requires good audio to really have the full effect, but World of Tanks with VorpX, the third-party driver, works quite well with the Oculus Rift. A great example of VR. But VR support right now doesn't just extend to these simulator games. You can also play first-person shooter games or third-person shooter games like Grand Theft Auto. Look at that. What if you want to go play multiplayer and really get on the action here, where you just want to go run into people with your bike, shoot people, and generally do some mayhem and be nefarious in GTA 5. That is also possible with the VorpX third-party driver, which works really well. Check this out. Speaking of first-person shooters, what about Mirror's Edge? What about doing digital or virtual parkour and free-running with an Oculus Rift on your head? Just imagine how, for one thing, how dizzy and how sick you can probably get by doing it, but just imagine how cool it would be to watch Faith as she tumbles and jumps and grabs and does everything from a first-person view, but not just a first-person view, from a view that is free from distractions, that you can really, truly get into. I mean, check this out. Look what she's doing. Just imagine having that in front of her face and doing this. I probably would get sick because I get a little motion sick, but nonetheless, this is amazing. This also works, not natively, however, but with the VorpX third-party driver, which works quite well and is very mature at this point. But Mirror's Edge, I think, would be one of the best examples of VR. I can't wait till Mirror's Edge, the newest, comes out so that we can play it in VR. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. But if parkour isn't your thing, why not go to a fantastic land of Tamriel and play a little bit of Skyrim? Because Skyrim is also supported with the Vorpex third-party driver, so you can get it on the action right before your eyes. So you can slay beasts and cast things and shoot your freaking bow and do all sorts of amazing things with virtual reality. And I think it really does immerse you into the world, especially when you use a lot of the new mods that up the graphics quality of Skyrim and can make it a lot better than it was. It's already pretty good looking, but if you use those mods, you pop on your Oculus Rift or your HTC Vive, and voila, you have yourself a great experience. Because why wouldn't you want to be in a more of a legitimate first-person view in Skyrim? Look at this. It actually looks quite incredible. It looks like it'd be a fun thing to do, doesn't it? You could also try out Fallout New Vegas when it comes to using the Vorpex third-party driver. It'll allow you to really get into that wasteland and really feel like you're surviving and probably dying from radiation and just having a terrible time. That, and you can also use VATS from a very close perspective, almost as if you're there. Sort of, kind of, except you can't smell the disgusting wasteland around you. Hopefully you'll be able to smell nice things in your own home. But the point is, Fallout New Vegas is a great example using VR because it can really take you to that wasteland as if you're right there. And then there's the military simulator Arma 3. Arma 3, with the Vorpex third-party driver, is an incredible example of what is possible with VR. It's almost literally a soldier simulator, except you can't really move around, in your third-dimensional space. You're still in the game using a controller, etc. But nonetheless, you can look around you. It's in the first-person perspective. You can see everything. You look down, you see your weapon, you see your body armor, you see everything on your gear. It's an incredible experience. It's almost as if you're there. It's very, very immersive. And so I believe that this is probably the absolute best example of how a first-person shooter can utilize VR to make for a great experience. This is the future. This is not like 3D TVs or anything. This is not a gimmick. This is actually an incredible experience and could end up being a tremendous amount of fun. Arma 3, look at this. Just look at it. Going back to simulators, now we have MechWarrior Online using the Crytek engine, Crytek 3, I believe it's 3.5 maybe, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, with the Vorpex third-party driver, which quite honestly is an amazing invention, you can have a full immersive experience. Look around you so you can see what's behind you in the cockpit. You can also use it to look where your weapons are at, etc. Use it to control your weapons. It's actually a really good example of how it can be used in a more realistic situation, because as you know, with the Apache helicopter, they use is sort of like the HoloLens to guide one of the weapons so that you can lock on. And this also does that, but it's an incredible experience of how to use VR for a mech, so it really brings you into it a little bit more, because as we know, looking at a monitor, there's distractions outside of you, so it does kill the immersiveness for a little bit. But nonetheless, MechWarrior Online, I think, is also another great example of how VR can be used in one of the best ways possible. And when speaking of VR experiences that you can have right this moment, this wouldn't be complete if we didn't mention Star Citizen. Now, the support isn't official at the moment, but it will be upon release, or at least later down the line once more modules are created and they get to that. But still, you can use, of course, the Vorpex 3D driver, third-party driver, to add in support for the Oculus Rift, and quite frankly, it's amazing. Star Citizen, as you know, is going to be an absolutely massive game in scale. It's going to have an amazing amount of things that you can do within this particular game. And it's not really a game, it's a living universe, for crying out loud. But nonetheless, its use of VR, I think, will be one of the best, the absolute best, because in the number of things that you can do. You can use it while flying, while probably driving vehicles, while, down on the ground doing your thing. And it seems as if it's going to allow, great head tracking, ways to do all sorts of different amazing things, so that VR is a true and viable thing. It's not just some gimmick popping things into your eyes that are tricking you, some optical illusion. It's a way to get you into the game a little bit more, and quite frankly better than usual. Even the resolution is a little bit small at the moment. This game, Star Citizen, will probably take VR to the next level, more so than any game has so far, or any game even promises to do, just because of the scope, the massive scope that this is going to have. Star Citizen will allow you to do VR right. Probably because they're going to take their time doing it, and we're not going to see it for a while, but nonetheless, when they do release the official Oculus Rift and HTC Vive and all the others, support, it's going to be spectacular, because they've already shown us what they're capable of doing if we just are patient. They can do a lot, and we know that they can do a lot, and they're very capable, those guys. So this is going to be another example of how VR can be done right. Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the best examples of VR that you can actually experience right now. So I am your host, Jeff, for WCCF Tech. Thank you for joining me.